I can dig it. I can dig it, Baba. Peace and love, family. Peace and love, family. Welcome to another powerful discussion with your sister, Dr. Maat. I told you last night that I would be going live tonight to show you the interview that I just recently had on Fox Soul. I'm sorry, I didn't butcher the name. I think it's called Being Black in Business or something like that with Tammy Mack.
Mhm.
I know her name is Tammy Mack.
Okay.
And so I think it's called it's the business of being black with Tammy Mack. There it is, Baba.
Mm,
The
I
business
like
of
that
being
name.
black, yep, with Tammy Mack. And so on Wednesday, the interview aired. We actually pre-recorded it around 2:30 that afternoon, and it aired at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox Soul platform. And the question was, is the NFL, can you liken the NFL to modern day slavery? Is the NFL a racist institution? And so I'm going to play the interview tonight. The interview is only about 50 minutes. When the interview first aired on Fox Soul, of course, Baba, there were a lot of commercials. Now, Baba, you're perfect now. Whatever you just did. Because family, look, before we went live, Baba Amin and I were talking about him. I told him, I said, Baba, you look a little pixelated. And he's like, no, telling me about all the technology he has. He's like, I got a
Right,
strong
right,
signal
right.
coming in.
I'm
I was like,
bragging on I nerd out over here. I'm like, what's going on?
I
I
said,
take pride in
Baba.
my little cameras.
I said, Baba, I'm telling you, you were pixelated. What did you just do, Baba? That just corrected it.
Um, I don't know. I plugged myself to the modem and I told my children to stop streaming.
Oh yeah, because you look perfect now, like crystal clear.
Yes,
You look
yes.
crystal
So,
clear
so
right
yeah,
now.
so my children are right above me, and everybody's probably streaming on their own device. So,
So
yeah,
it was
so they
drawing
jumped
a
off.
lot of yeah. So
Yeah.
that
So
was okay
I told everybody to read a book and draw a picture for about an hour. We
for
good.
about an hour. Okay,
Yeah, for
all
about an
right.
hour, so we good.
Okay, and family, I had to call Baba Amin back, my big brother, to unpack this
I
conversation.
stay.
I wanted him to look at it because, as you already know, if you've been following Dr. Maat on YouTube, Baba Amin and I have had this conversation before when
Hmm.
Colin Kaepernick dropped his documentary Kaepernick in black and white, or Colin in black and white.
Right.
I brought Baba Amin on and we
Yeah.
talked about the documentary because I was feeling some type of way that
Right.
Kaepernick likened the NFL to slavery. And Baba Amin helped me to understand that, yes, there are some similarities that we can't
Yes.
deny, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
we wouldn't say,
Absolutely.
of course, that it's just like slavery, right? Like
No.
when you think
No.
of all the
Nothing is just
atrocities,
like slavery.
yeah,
Yes.
nothing is just like
Yes.
slavery, of course. But Baba
Yes.
said, look, there are some similarities. So I argued from that position that it was some similarities, but there were, I don't even want to say brothers on the platform. I'll just say there were people who look like us on the platform who said, no, the NFL is not racist. It's asinine to compare it to slavery. And, it's not a white
Yeah.
power structure. And, so there were some people on the panel that
Which
actually
is very
argued
weird.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
weird,
Which
Baba.
is very weird. I mean, you have what, 30 teams, 30 white owners. You know what I'm saying? So how's it not a white power structure? So I mean, 70% black workforce. How's that not a white power structure? You know what I'm saying? 100% white ownership, 70% black workforce. Come on, man. Let's come on.
Right.
And black only in key positions inside that workforce. But we'll get into all of that. Yes.
Absolutely. And so, Baba, look, I'm gonna be honest. During the interview, I had to keep my composure. And it was people like family members who know me, and they were like, I could tell by your body language
Oh,
that I could tell by your body language that you were getting ready to explode. You did a good job keeping your composure. But I have to be honest, family. After the taping of the show, or the recording of the show, I lost it backstage because he was
mm.
acting. And you'll see, I'm not even going to tell you the brother's name, Baba. I mean, you'll be able to identify him. The producers asked him, brother, do you think that America is racist? And you know what the brother said?
What?
No, no. And I lost it. I said, what do you mean? And then so we started going back and forth. And the producers were
Right.
like, we should have been recording this. We should have been recording this. So I told them, set up a discussion with this
Yeah.
brother
Yeah.
on whether or not
Anytime.
American
Come on.
as America is racist. So anyway, family, without, I'm gonna play the interview. We recorded it in 5 segments, 5 10-minute segments. And so I'll play 10 minutes, stop, talk to Baba Amin, play another 10 minutes, stop, talk to Baba Amin, etc. And a beautiful mind, she said this, Baba, look, she said that brother, it was in denial. With all respect, I saw it. Yeah, it was crazy.
That brother angling for a job, or he worked for somebody that he can't call America racist in front of.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know? Yeah, that brother
Absolutely.
He auditioning for the white side of Fox. He was auditioning for Fox Country. He was on Fox Soul, but he trying to get over to Fox Country. He ain't trying to stay on Fox Soul.
Right. I was like, what? So, all right, here we go, Baba. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and play the first 10 minutes. Here we go.
Welcome to Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. I'm Tammy Mack. Hi there. So Mike Tomlin is one of only 4 minority coaches in the NFL, including the newly appointed coach of the Houston Texans, Lovie Smith. The irony here is that the last black player to play in the NFL in 1933 became a college coach and played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, now known as the Steelers, Ray Kemp. Yes, the last black person in 1933 when the NFL was no longer integrated. Teams refused for a multitude of reasons to hire black players until 1946. One of those reasons was George Marshall, owner of the Washington Redskins, now known as the Commanders. He openly refused to have black athletes on his team and reportedly pressured the rest of the league to follow suit. When asked about it, his response was, "We'll start signing Negroes when the Harlem Globetrotters start hiring whites." Speaking of white, in the Netflix series Colin in Black and White, former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick compares the NFL draft to slave auctions, saying what they don't want you to understand is what's being established is a power dynamic. Before they put you on the field, teams poke, prod, and examine you. No boundary respected, no dignity left intact. Well, let's ponder this idea that the elements of the NFL draft are indeed similar to elements of the old American tradition of slave trading. Let's get down to business. The business of being black is the NFL and its racist ways. Please welcome award-winning columnist and contributor for thegrio.com, Deron Snyder. Hi, Deron.
Hi, it's Darren. Thank you.
Darren, how did I miss that?
Like it's
how did I miss that? We just had a whole conversation. Darren,
right,
Darren Snyder, thank you so much. Editor for MLBBro.com. Chris Wilder is with us. Hi, Chris.
How you doing?
And the host of Uncle Tom Talks podcast, Derek Wilburn. Hi, Derek. Welcome back.
Hi, Tammy. Happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you so much. And Dr. Oya Maat. Hi, Dr. Maat.
Hello, Tammy. It's a pleasure to be on the panel. I look forward to the discussion.
Let's have it. So why should Black people care about racism in the NFL? Why should they care? Dr. Oya, let's start with you.
I mean, why should they care? I mean, I think that you laid it out beautifully. It's a good old boys network, as you so eloquently described at the opening. I mean, the NFL and chattel slavery, they have some parallels. Okay, both of them are systems, right? So during chattel slavery, our ancestors lived and they worked on a plantation. A plantation is a system, right? A system that was created by whites that utilized Black labor to cultivate cash crops, sugar, cotton, rice, and tobacco to produce white wealth. The NFL is also a system that was created by whites that exploits Black labor to produce white wealth. And as you stated earlier, Tammy, all of the owners are white, right? The players have no equity, Black people have no equity, but yet we contribute to the billions and billions of dollars that the NFL makes, or the NFL generates.
Black people.
We're gonna circle back. We're gonna circle back to that. Hold that thought, Chris. I want to make sure that everyone answers this first question, and that's why should Black people care? So, Chris, why should Black people care about the NFL and its racist ways, if it exists, in fact?
Well, in addition to what Dr. Maat said, which was on point, Black people should care because the NFL is, an example of how a business operates. Everyone in America, is familiar with the NFL. Their TV ratings are higher than anything else. So when the NFL does something, people notice. So what you don't want is that kind of business model being an example for every other business in America.
Darren?
I think you should care about racism in the NFL just because it's part of America, and we should care about racism in America. Like Chris said, the NFL is a very visible business, but whether we're talking about racism in corporate America, racism on college campuses, racism in banking, wherever it is, we need to care because we're the ones affected by it.
Derek? Why should I care as a Black person? Why should I care about the NFL?
Those are two different questions on the table. So we should all care about racism everywhere. I completely agree with Darren. He couldn't be more right. Anywhere there's racism, everybody should care about it, whether they're Black, white, brown, purple, or green. We need to eliminate that from our society. But whether or not the NFL is racist and whether or not you can compare the NFL to the slave trade are two different things. The idea of comparing the NFL to the slave trade, in my estimation, is one of the most asinine things I've ever heard. There are so many ways I could go with this, but I'll just give you two or three. First of all, no one in the history of mankind ever has or ever will sit and pay their money to watch slaves harvest cabbage, cotton, and kale. Nobody would ever do that. Nobody ever bought shoes or potato chips because slaves used those and liked those. Slaves were not given a free, world-class education before being sent out to pick and harvest the cotton, kale, and cabbage. And I'll give you one more. If a slave didn't like the way he or she was being treated by their plantation owner, they couldn't say, you know what, I'm going to go to a different plantation, some other city, and see if I can get paid more and get a better deal. There is really no comparison between these two things.
Well, I would like to disagree with the no one has bought something because a slave was on it. White folk did put Aunt Jemima on the pancake box and we eat them up. And let's talk about Uncle Ben. And, so there were a lot of times that white folk used Black people and their image to increase their revenue on their products, and particularly food products. I oftentimes think about Corky's in Memphis, Tennessee. They have every year they go on one of those channels that sell things, and they put a Black man on the barbecue to sell it, but really it's owned by a white man.
Our image is one thing, our activity is another. So people buy shoes or potato chips because the so-called slaves of the NFL wear those shoes or endorse those chips.
Understood.
So their image and their activities are two different things. Nobody bought Aunt Jemima's syrup because Aunt Jemima claimed this is what I use. Her picture was just the one that was on the label.
Okay. Here we go. I want to come back to what you were saying, though, Dr. Oya. So I'm glad you're speaking now.
Did you all notice, Baba? Did you notice? I was getting ready to go in on him, and she just stopped. I was getting ready to go in, and Tammy cut it off. But here we go, Baba. Hold on.
Talk about how the NFL makes a massive amount of money and there's no equity in it for Black people. Let's take the simplest form of any occupation. There's no equity in any of it for us. When you work at FedEx, there's no equity there and you're shipping the boxes. There's no equity if you're working at the grocery store and you're counting up the groceries. Where is there equity in any company?
No, I agree 200% for you, and I 200% with you that there isn't any type of equity, and that's why you have people fighting. That's why we're fighting for reparations and fighting for redress. I mean, there's no equity. I did want to address what Mr. Derek Wilburn said about how it's asinine to make the comparison. Now, of course, Derek, that we're not saying that the NFL is exactly like chattel slavery, even Jim Crow semi-slavery. But we can't deny that there are some similarities, as Tammy stated. There are some parallels. They're both systems that exploit Black labor, right? That creates white wealth. We can't deny that.
No,
okay.
Yes, we
can't deny that the plantation owners were all white, right? Just like the NFL owners are all white, although Blacks make up 70% of the NFL. So we can't deny that. We can't deny that during slavery, our ancestors were treated as property. In the NFL, those men are still treated as property. As Colin Kaepernick revealed in his Netflix series, he showed how the combine was extremely degrading. They were being examined literally like cattle. They're looking at their physique, the speed, the toughness, the instinct. Isn't this reminiscent of the auction block when our ancestors were presented to potential slave masters, where they were examined? They looked at their teeth, they looked at their lips, they looked at the muscles, and in some cases, they looked at the genitals of those men. These men on the NFL teams, they can't even speak out, right? Because they operate in fear that they're going to lose their contracts, fear that they're going to lose sponsorships, fear that they're going to be cut. So they can't even speak out on certain issues or associate with people who haven't been accepted, or people who haven't been accepted by the dominant society.
Well, Derek, she makes a valid point when she says they can't speak out on issues in the NFL.
That's not true. That's not true. They've been speaking out on the issues of which helped give birth to the Black Lives Matter movement beginning in 2016. The genesis of which was Colin Kaepernick. But you're leaving out an extreme.
And what happened to Colin Kaepernick?
You're leaving out two very, very important aspects of that diatribe. Number one, yes, they're looked at, poked and prodded and what have you, but you leave out that $16 million signing bonus for having successfully gotten through that process.
Excellent point. I want to get Chris in on this.
Okay, well, let me give you my second and I'll get out.
Okay.
Slaves couldn't just walk away. Okay, no one is forcing anyone to play in the NFL. Any one of these men who presumably earned a college degree for free, I might add, can simply say, you know what, I've had enough of this and leave. Slaves couldn't do that.
Chris?
Well, a couple of things. The NFL versus the other sports, the union doesn't seem to be that strong. They get pushed around and bullied a lot, when it comes to, organizing a new CBA. A couple of things.
Hold on your couple of things, because I want to let your points come crystal clear. And
okay.
So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come right back on Business of Being Black with Tam and Mac. I feel like Nelly, it's getting hot in here. We'll be right back.
All right, Baba.
Uh-oh.
So Baba,
when that brother engaged immediately, did you?
So Baba, what were your thoughts on that first segment? What were your thoughts about the first segment?
Very interesting. I think she was wise. She knew she was doing. She knew who she had on the show. So she set up two opposing viewpoints off top.
She did.
That's first. She strategically set up two opposing viewpoints off top. You did a great job, by the way, and you made it crystal clear. You're not saying that being in the NFL is exactly like slavery. You're saying there are some similarities, some structural similarities as far as systemically, you know what I'm saying? Which you were on point. He was way off. He was way off. Number one, calling the education that Black athletes receive in college free. No, ask a college athlete with a torn ACL how free that education feels. Add a Black college athlete that has to get up at 5 a.m. You know what I'm saying? To go to practice. A Black athlete who's trying to access that education and can't because the coach say you're not really here to learn. You're here to play football. Ask them how free that education really is, and then ask them what education really prepares them for. Right? Because most Black athletes I know that get that degree, that played full time, they rely on contacts from white alumni from the school to get a job commensurate to that degree, because they didn't, many of them, I'm not saying all, but many of them didn't go to class. I've hung out with professional athletes who talked to me about how they had classmates in college who couldn't read in the 2000s. This ain't from 1984, 1965. In the 2000s, where they had teammates on the college level that were reading on 3rd and 4th grade levels with this free education. They didn't pay tuition, but they're in school to play ball, especially at your power schools, right? So that education is not free. How many I don't know, that's what hit me, because people say, you got a free education. Well, ain't nothing free that you lend your body to, period. Ain't nothing free. that you give concussions to. These young men are coming out of school having had multiple concussions. Some of them are developing CTE later in life. Go and look at the 30 for 30 on Randy Moss when he talked about, I forget the exact title of it, but it was named after his neighborhood. And in it is centered around how many athletes, great athletes, come out of that community and how most of them end up right back on that corner with no degree, injured, broken, and feeling like a failure because they didn't make the league. So they need to kill that. If that free education thing is what the NCAA puts up there to say this is how we're compensating for exploiting your child's body. It is absolute exploitation on the college level. And then by the time you get to the NFL, the average career only lasts 3 to 4 years. Right, we're looking at Deion Sanders, we're looking at Lamar Jackson, we're looking at
Ray Lewis.
But there's 53 men on the team. 70% of these 53-man teams, 53-man teams, 70% are Black. Most don't see a second contract. Most only see that first contract, and they come in very poorly prepared to manage that.
That's a fact. That's
a fact. You can't argue that.
You can't argue that.
The numbers out there, well, they get paid. Well, they get paid. Yes, they do get paid, you know. But if you pay me and I'm not prepared to be paid and I'm a consumer, I'm just going to give most of that money right back to you.
Absolutely. And Baba, did you peep when he said, you know, I mean, this isn't just like slavery. I mean, you know, they could just walk away. That's like telling me, right, I have a family that I provide for, right? I have a job that I get up and I go to Monday through Friday. That's like telling me who have an income. And of course, I've built a lifestyle around this income. Oh, you should just walk away. You don't like it. Just, you know, you just walk away. These athletes, literally with the contracts that they have, they've built a lifestyle around their income. No different than you and I, on a different level than you and I, of course, but no different than you and I. So now I done bought mama a nice house that I've always wanted to buy her. My children, my maid, my siblings, everybody's living a certain type of lifestyle that's contingent upon me running up and down the field. Right. So am I just to say, okay, now I'm just going to walk away. I don't like what's going on the field. I'm just going to walk away. So when he made that comment, I said, wow, this brother don't understand that these athletes literally, just like you and I, create a lifestyle around the income that they're making. Right.
And he also said that our enslaved ancestors didn't receive an education. They absolutely received education. They were educated to become overseers. They was educated to become preachers to help Black folks stay enslaved. They were educated as blacksmiths, bucks, and bed wenches. So you did receive an education that allows you to turn around and serve the institution of slavery. Right. And so in turn, you bring that to today. Colin Kaepernick is an outlier, right? Because everyone else, they're receiving an education, even as professional athletes, to turn around and serve and perpetuate the very institution that they're a part of.
Facts.
And so that's another parallel, because you are, man, like when the brother, the coach down in Miami, when they fired him and he's just sued the NFL, Flores sued the NFL. Just soon as one of them speak out, watch how all the ones that were able to transition from the league to work for ESPN, watch how they all start scrambling to protect the institution.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch how they start scrambling. Oh Lord, I got this mouse back up. Let me break down why Flores is wrong. Let me just break it down to you how the brother went the wrong way. But that's their job. Protect the institution. Don't let nobody out the gate.
That's a fact. Right. That's a fact. Like you said, the key word is protect the institution. The key phrase, protect the institution. Someone said, say that, Baba. So let's go into the second segment, Baba. We're going to go play the second segment.
Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tam and Mac. And the business of being Black today is the NFL and its racist ways, or not. Please welcome award-winning columnist and contributor for thegrio.com, Darren Snyder. Hi, Darren.
Hey.
Editor for MLBbro.com, Chris Wild. Did I get it wrong again, Darren?
No, you got it right. See, trust yourself.
I get so nervous. Editor for MLBBro.com, Chris Wilder is here.
Hello.
And the host of Uncle Tom Talks podcast, Derek Wilburn, and Dr. Maat. Hi, everyone. Chris.
Now I had to say something. When we were recording, in the chat, I said, you need to state my title. You know how everybody was the host of this or the founder of this. And I was like, whoa, during the recording, I said, Tammy, 2 times, first segment and second segment, you didn't say anything that I was the host or the co-founder or anything of. You need to change that, and it was just being the only woman on this platform. You get what I'm saying? Like, don't slight me. Don't slight me. You told the brothers he's the host of this. So-and-so is the host of that, so-and-so. And then she said, she apologized. She said, look, it wasn't in my script. She said she was actually reading from a script. And she said that it wasn't there because I did submit my stuff kind of late that night. And so she said it wasn't in my script. So I said, okay. But she did correct it. And you'll see that on the following segments because I had family members, Bob, in the building who were like, hold on, wait a minute. You slight.
You ain't got no job.
Right. Exactly. So here we go, Bob. Here we go.
Right. You were about to make some very valid points. I'm assuming they're valid.
I wanted to talk about that college education, that high class college education that Derek brought up. The football players aren't getting that. They go to college and they work out and they play football and they.
Well, now that's just a shame if you're going to college and you're not getting an education.
Yeah. Well, that's not a secret that they're not getting that. Now,
I got to push back on that one, Chris. Okay, go ahead.
Well, what they're learning is football. If I want to be a chemist, I go to college and I learn chemistry. If I want to be a professional football player, I go to college and I'm learning football, and that's what they're doing. And colleges are different. Some colleges teach you one way. Some colleges have you in a pro system, but it leads to you then going. Hopefully, but not for most of the players, but it leads to you then going to the NFL and the combine where you're poked and prodded and so forth, and they want to know how fast you are and how high you can jump. But I mean, how different is that from, getting a job in an office and we want to see how fast you can type? I mean, is there, that's just the job you do. We don't even know how fast you can run if you're going to be typing.
Yeah, well, whose fault is that? So if what Chris is saying is true, and I dispute that it is, you receive a scholarship.
Talking about the college education?
You're correct. You receive a scholarship to go to a 4-year college. You declare a major, marketing, chemistry, whatever it is. You have an academic counselor and advisors that help you select the courses that you're supposed to take in order to accumulate 120 credit hours to earn a bachelor's degree at some point before your 4 years there is up, or 5 years. If you don't go to class, if you don't put in the work, if you don't do the time to earn a degree, that's not the fault of the system. That's a matter of personal responsibility or lack thereof.
It's a combination. The system, I mean, a lot of athletes do go and they take this study seriously, but it's
Baba, did you see me leaning over? That's when I was typing to her. That's when I was typing.
It's very hard. I'm not trying to defend athletes who don't put the time in, but we can't act like the system isn't geared towards making football their major, no matter what it says on the degree. But in terms of what you were saying earlier, Derek, in terms of being asinine, that's a little bit stronger than I would have come. Like, I know I'm with you, like, to compare it to slavery is a reach, but, Will Roden did write a 300-page book called $40 Million Slaves, in which he tried to do a lot of nuanced reasoning. And in the uprising, the Revolt of the Black Athlete, written by the brother Harry Edwards in the 60s, he used a little slave analogy. So in general, I'm definitely not with that. But I do see a little bit in terms of at least the combine, there are some aspects of them being on the slave block, being on the auction block, and they're checking out their genitals and all of that. But in general, I would not use the slave analogy.
Dr. Oya, and I want to make sure that everyone knows she is the founder of Conscious Ingenuity and professor at Morgan State University. So I just saw you holding up the book there. I saw you holding up the book, $40 Million Slave by Bill Roden, which compares the NFL to slavery. So, but isn't Derek correct? Isn't it an exaggeration?
Well, Tammy, we're not saying And I think that Chris would agree with me. We're not saying that the NFL is exactly like like chattel slavery. I mean, when you think about what our ancestors experienced during what we call the Ma'afa, which is a Swahili word that means the great disaster. It was coined by Dr. Marimba Ani. And so no one would dare say that this is exactly like the Ma'afa. This is exactly like the NFL is exactly like chattel slavery or Jim Crow semi-slavery. But what we are saying, Tammy, is that there are similarities that are undeniable. Even then, when I think about Douglass, let's go to Frederick Douglass's work, Narrative of a Slave. Douglass even talked about how on Sunday nights, right, that the slaves would provide entertainment for the slave master. Okay, it says right here, Douglass mentions in his narrative that slave owners enjoyed spending Sunday nights watching the slaves box or wrestle, both for their enjoyment, and so the slaves did not participate in more civilized activities. Isn't that what we do? Who's watching the NFL? I know that we watch it, but I mean, the Europeans or the whites are the majority of the watchers, and they're the ones buying the tickets. This is all entertainment. So when you think about that, that's another similarity, Tammy. We're not in charge of the politics. Are the Black players, do they create and implement and enforce the policies in the NFL? Or is it the all-white NFL commissioners who do? So we don't even dictate policy in the NFL. So we're literally creating...
We're talking about the owners. Hold that thought, Darren. We're talking about the owners, and I do want to get into that. Byron Allen has just said that, media mogul Byron Allen has said that he is trying to enter the realm of owning a football team. Why hasn't this happened, Darren?
Well, it hasn't happened because it's a club, and the club is very limited. It's a fraternity, and it's the same. I don't want us to get caught up in whether it's slavery or not. Obviously, it's not slavery. It's capitalism, and anyone working in America can say, in a sense, well, a lot of these same complaints that we're talking about. But in terms of the ownership of the NFL, it's been white dominated, just like Hollywood for a long time. Doctor, you were talking about the entertainment. You can say the same thing about Hollywood.
Silicon Valley. You could say the same thing about Silicon Valley.
Anything.
So the banking industry. You can just say it about America. Why don't you?
So we should just focus on the NFL and what's wrong with it instead of trying to say whether it is slavery or not slavery. That language is very troubling to me because of how horrific it is. And even if we want to say modern day slavery, what does that mean? That they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars? So let's not get caught up on that. But the NFL has a long list of things that we can justly criticize them for, including their ownership being not inclusive, and some of their hiring practices obviously are not inclusive as well.
Chris, I see you wanting to jump in.
Yeah, people hire obviously who they're familiar with. But I was going to say, as far as owners being kept out or black people being kept out of ownership, like you said, it's all about capitalism, and you have to have money. And Black people have less money in America because of all the historical reasons that I'm sure I don't need to go into. So that's what keeps us out of ownership. Now, obviously, we need to find ways to get in. I know we talked about college a second ago, but I would like to say that that structure is similar too. The players there, it's even more like slavery. Honestly, they're not being paid, and the colleges are making millions of dollars, and so are the coaches and anyone who works around. Everyone gets paid except for the talent or the labor, whichever you want to refer to it.
So, is the scholarship not equivalent to pay?
No. I'm sorry, yes and no. Because the scholarship, sure, you can go in there, you can get a great education in whatever school you choose. Most schools or most colleges with a big football program, there's just no time to go to class because you're practicing football all day. And then you have to travel for games. You're generating the most money that the school is making. So they're going to make sure that their football team is right. They're more concerned about the football team than your education. But the last piece I want to say here is that if you're a top football player in high school, your goal is to play NFL football anyway. So you're not going to college to learn how to be a scientist. You're going to college for football. So while they're not getting, their math classes, they are learning what they should be learning to move on to the field that they're trying to move on to.
I know you want to jump in, Derek, but let me let these commercials jump in real quick. I know. I feel your energy, my brother. I feel it. But let's feel the energy of some commercials, and we'll be right back on Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack.
Pay those bills. I like it.
Oh,
all right.
Derek
All
can't
right.
wait to say something stupid. Well, I got something dumb to say.
But so it's not racist. It's not racist, but black people can't buy into it. It's a good old boys network, right? The owners are white, but it's not racist though. It's not racist. So I was just like, what planet are you living on?
When George Marshall of the Redskins, I mean, he named his damn team the Redskins, but George Marshall said that we'll sign black players when the Harlem Globetrotters sign white players. He was basically saying, this our stuff, they need to go get their stuff. Right? This is our stuff. And this is one of the traps of the whole integration mentality. White-owned institutions become the league rather than a league. Right? Right. And when they become the definitive article, when the big white company becomes a definitive article, the thought of creating a company of your own that does the same thing, that doesn't even come to mind. We like, nah, they not gonna let us do that. So let's fight to sprinkle a few of us into their company. And then when they start sprinkling us into their company, we're like, that ain't fast enough. That ain't good enough. Sprinkle more of us into your company. Right. And so, but the issue is the lack of ownership and us saying, why would we invest in anything that we don't have an ownership stake in? He even mentioned the white athlete. I heard him down there. So the white athletes in college are slaves too. My answer was, well, yes, but the difference is that college is vested in the broader white community outside of the field. But Texas A&M and Alabama, they not investing in South Florida. They're not putting anything inside of the black community where Nick Saban them ain't helping your homeboys. They're not putting community centers and new computers in the communities that they're pulling them out of. Those white athletes don't have access to alumni that's going to open doors for them that those black athletes will never have access to. And that's a fact. All you got to do is ask a black college athlete what the difference is.
Absolutely. So you peeped that out too. And I think he did say that. So white players are slaves too. And so it said a lot about him when they introduced him as the host of the hit show Uncle Tom. That spoke volumes to me. That he even named his show,
executive producer. That's his brainchild. He got a show called Uncle Tom. So we know what he about to say. Right. We know what he's about to say, and so he's being true to form, But again, America is built on racism and classism. And so you're going to see examples of racism that white folks get caught up in too, because they ain't the white elite ain't doing nothing to black folks that they ain't done to their own people.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that people have to recognize and realize, that just because you find somebody white suffering from it too, does not mean you wasn't targeted as an African, as a black person.
That's a fact. So here's the third segment, Baba.
All right.
Welcome back to the Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. I'm Tammy Mack. The Business of Being Black today is the NFL. Is this organization a racist organization? Derek, you were just reeling to get in on Chris's comments about a college education when it comes to football players on a collegiate level.
A couple things from the last segment. So the hill that Chris is planting his flag in is that players just don't go to class. I've known scholarship athletes at major universities. That's exactly what you said. You said
he didn't say they don't go to class. He said they don't learn nothing in class.
Then I misheard him because I believe he said they simply don't go to class, and I think we can roll him back and verify that
I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Okay, if I'm wrong, I apologize in advance, but I don't think that I am. But the conversation prior regarding ownership needs a little bit of buttressing, because yes, it's a club. Yes, it's a good old boys network. We all know that. But there's only 32 NFL franchises to begin with. They don't come up for sale every day of the week. I mean, you can't get in, you can't purchase if something isn't for sale. And it's very, very rare that NFL franchises change hands. In fact, there isn't 32, there's 31, because the Green Bay Packers are corporately owned. There is no ownership family or group. But when they do come up for sale, we're talking billions upon billions of dollars. It's out of reach. Chris is right. It's out of the financial reach of the typical. We've got 3 black billionaires in the nation now, I believe, one of whom would never buy an NFL franchise, couldn't care less about it. So if and when one comes up, it's going to take a conglomeration of investment. It's going to take multiple entities coming together, not just one single mega billionaire who can make a purchase. And we just don't have those people yet. So yes, it's a club, but to say it is explicitly as a result of that club being racist is probably unfair to all of those owners, to paint them with that broad brush.
That's true. That's true. The majority owner has to have a 30% stake. The franchise that's up for sale is expected. Denver Broncos, that Byron Allen, owner of the Grill, is looking to buy. It's expected to go for $3 to $4 billion. So he would have to have a 30% stake in that. So it's hard to get an ownership group to get, because these are all ownership groups, unless it was your family and it's passing it down. It's hard to get a black owner to have that large of a stake.
But we don't even have black people
this is something that I'm sorry, excuse me for a second, Chris. This is something that I don't think anyone has ever brought up, but is it possible to create a new NFL team? Not a new NFL, as has been tried on several occasions, but
no. Can
you create teams?
No. The NFL is essentially an oligarchy. You can try to, there's been numerous other leagues to try to go against them, but the NFL is an entity unto itself. So you can't just create a team and say, I'm part of the NFL.
Yeah, and I think Darren may, the word he used was oligarchy. The word I would use is oligopoly. So
yes,
in order to crack in, how are you going to do that? But the NFL needs a market in which for its teams to be located. And if you look around the country, the major markets, the 32 markets, comprise most of the largest population centers in our country, with the exception of Green Bay and Buffalo and some other smaller markets. So you can't really introduce a new NFL team in an existing market. That leaves Milwaukee. That leaves places where you're only talking about population centers of hundreds of thousands, not millions of people. And the support just wouldn't be there financially.
So since we are talking about the Denver Broncos and it being up for sale, Dr. Oya, I do want to hit you with this one, because this has been all over the news. It has been a major.
I was so embarrassed when I looked at this Bible. I was like, why are my eyes closed? And then I realized that my computer must have frozen.
Major story. And I, for one, believe, the ending is going to be much of the same. Brian Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins for 3 seasons from 2019 through 2021 season. Last week, he filed a lawsuit suing the NFL and 3 teams for discrimination. He sued his former team, the Dolphins, alleging discrimination in his firing, and 2 other teams, the New York Giants and the Denver Broncos, alleging discrimination in their hiring practices as well. Let's talk about this lawsuit, Dr. Maat.
I mean, absolutely. When it came out, Tammy, in the media that that this was happening, I mean, no one should be surprised. Again, we're dealing with a good old boys network where these things happen, where we're experiencing racism. So for me, for someone to believe that the NFL isn't, they aren't racist and this stuff is just happening. No, this is racism that we are experiencing. So when that came out in the media, Tammy, none of us were surprised. I mean, this is what the players experience day in and day out. This is a white structure. This is a white power structure. And I just kind of wanted to touch on something that Derek said earlier when he mentioned that in 2016, he said that the NFL players, because they were speaking out, that promoted Black Lives Matter, and then he mentioned Colin Kaepernick. Well, Derek, can we talk about what happened to Colin Kaepernick? when he did speak out, when Colin Kaepernick did take a knee? Let's talk about what happened to him, Derek.
Sure, but if we're talking about freedom of expression, if we're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick, that's fine. But we have to talk about the hundreds of other players who chose to take a knee during the national anthem who are still in the league to this very day. So there's two sides to that coin. Colin Kaepernick, one could argue he made a business decision. One could argue that owners did the same thing. So you have a man who was very toxic in certain circles in our country. Their fan base, you had people who were very upset with Colin Kaepernick and his actions, which they felt was being disrespectful to the flag and the anthem of the United States of America. As a business owner, putting that individual in your uniform, making him a billboard, making him a representative of your product, when up to half of your consumers can't stand him, is not the wisest business decision in the world. So I'm not willing to say there was no racist intent there on the part of the owners. I frankly don't know. But as a business decision, it's easy to understand why nobody picked his contract up.
Oh, I would definitely say that it was racist intent. In fact, you had, and let me pull this up really quickly. Hold on. Let me pull this up really quickly. Wasn't it the late Bob McNair, the late owner of the Texans, who reportedly derailed the discussion about the Kaepernick taking a knee and what was going on at the NFL at that time, when he told the other NFL owners that we can't have inmates running the prison. He likened NFL players to inmates, and he likened the NFL to a prison. Now, this is coming directly from an NFL owner.
Well, silence speaks volumes.
I didn't realize she was.
No, it's all good, Chris.
Well,
that was a quote.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and he said the quiet part out loud. I mean, what else can you say about that? When Colin Kaepernick was taking the knee, he was sitting for the national anthem. He never even made an issue about it until a reporter was offended that he wasn't standing and made it into an issue. So, that's an example of the white power structure right there. Somebody who's not even on the team or in the NFL turned it into an issue, and look what it blew up into. And so now I know they put Black Lives Matter on the field and they have messages on the back of their helmets, but that's all PR, and all of the players don't necessarily do it. And the team, the NFL is not really doing anything as far as racism, or they're not putting.
So is Brian Flores' fate the same as Colin Kaepernick with this discrimination lawsuit, Derek?
Are you asking me?
We're going to have to see. I will say the thing that was surprising is that he filed a lawsuit when he still had 2 interviews left in his hiring cycle.
I thought that was interesting too. I thought that maybe he would have filed them after. So it's very interesting to see that he filed it in the midst of still interviewing for coaching positions in the NFL. So I don't know why the NFL would hire him now.
Well, to me, I think that would have been even a good reason for a team to hire him, to try to take some steam out of his lawsuit. But obviously they didn't feel the same way.
Well, they did hire Lovie Smith. So I do believe that him filing that lawsuit is a direct consequence, or a direct reasoning behind the hiring of Lovie Smith, no?
Yeah, because the Texans were about to hire Josh McCown, who's a high school coach who's never coached in the NFL. And I think that they felt like it was too much heat on the street for them to do that. So they went to Lovie Smith, who they had not even been considering until that moment.
We'll take a quick break and come right back on Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack.
All right, Baba, that was the third segment. We coming down to the wire. What were your thoughts about the third segment? What were you thinking? What were some of the thoughts you had when you watched it? Oh, you're on mute, Baba. You got to unmute yourself.
Of course, the highlight was the Bob McNair quote. That was the highlight of that segment. Okay, that was the highlight. That shut some stuff down right there. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone got quiet. Did you notice
everybody
that?
Everybody got quiet. You stopped it right there, like bam. Deal with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like the other brother said, he said what's supposed to have been quiet. He said it out loud.
Come on.
Right. And so, and I was pointing out because, old boy's trying his argument, Derek, and is the reason why there's no black owners. Look, we understand why there are no black ownership in NFL. Not it's a private white club. That doesn't make it a private white racist club. It becomes racist in how it deals with with a particular race. So when you start talking about the Rooney Rule, where number one, why was a Rooney Rule even necessary? Because you had obvious great black coaches who were trying to get work inside this company that were being denied because of the racist norms that the NFL has always practiced. It was one time back in the 60s, 70s when they started letting black players in, it was two positions that you could not get. You would not be a quarterback and you cannot be a middle linebacker.
I didn't know about the middle linebacker. I knew the quarterback, but I didn't know about
I didn't
know
the
about
early
that.
days, you couldn't be a middle linebacker either because the racial norm is, the middle linebacker has to read the offense. The middle linebacker is the quarterback of the defense. He's calling the plays. So again, the racist norm says that black men do not have the cognitive abilities of white men. Now that's the science. That's the scientific racism that permeates throughout the NFL. Even right now today, a 6'5" white boy out of Venice Beach that can throw a football, they call him the prototype, the prototypical quarterback. They say he has great pedigree. That's why you'll see a tall white boy could have a 15-year career sucking in the NFL. Because they just, every time they look at him, he just has to be a leader. He has, because he's 6'5" and he's a white boy. He has to lead, right? The pattern in the NFL right now, and even in the NBA, when you're rebuilding, then take advantage of the Rooney Rule, help your image, hire a black coach when you know you're not going to win. When that black coach builds that team up and you need to get over the hump, you need white leadership to get over the hump. That's the pattern. That's the current pattern. I read an article today where they are with NFL players dealing with CTE, dealing with their pension, dealing with getting compensation for all the head injuries. They uncovered that the NFL uses race as a determining factor on what someone gets paid out for cognitive injuries.
Hold up, Baba. Do you have the source? Please inbox me the article.
Yes, I have it.
Did they specifically say
it's in the scientific,
race?
It's in Scientific American. In the Scientific American, you have former players. I got it right here, as a matter of fact.
You gonna share your screen? You gonna share your can you share your screen, Baba? Go ahead, share your screen.
You know what? Let me. I gotta find it. I have it on my phone.
Okay, don't worry about it. Just drop
I'll send the link to you, right? But if you just look, the NFL's racist, the article's called "The NFL's Racist Race Norming is an Afterlife of Slavery." It was published July 8th, 2021, and it's called Race Norming.
Baba,
right?
You better be lucky I didn't have that article. That would have been a bullet. That would have been a bullet. That would have been a bullet in my chamber. That would have been a bullet in the chamber.
Right? And basically what it says, since black men don't have the cognitive abilities of white men, right? When they take, in order to get your pension, in order to get your compensation of this settlement that the ex-players won, you have to take cognitive tests, right? So if a black player and a white player scores on the same baseline on this test, the white player gets a bigger payout because his cognitive loss is greater than yours, because y'all started out with him being smarter than you. So if now you and the white player are on the same level, his loss is greater than your loss. You just a little dumber. He's a lot dumber. And they call it race norming. And that's going on today with former players. Norming in sports, you know what I'm saying, is regular. That's what it is. Race norming is that's what the NFL is, a textbook example of stereotypical tropes, race norming. I know black NFL players. I've met black NFL players who will say, if we're gonna win, we need a white coach. I prefer a white coach. There are black players who respond better to white leadership. It feels more natural to them to respond to white leadership as opposed to black leadership. When you see black head coaches, a lot of times the announcer will describe, well, he's a real players coach. The players understand him. He's a real players coach. What are they saying? They're saying he's only a good coach because he can rap and stuff and he know how to talk to black people. But that doesn't mean he understands X's and O's. Black quarterbacks are the great natural athletes. White quarterbacks really understand the game. These are racial norms, right? That we've all grown up with, that we're used to. Right. And so we're highlighting on the hiring practices of NFL owners, but that's a racial norm. Who's going to lead the troops in the battle? We need a seasoned white man, or now the new trend is the young, energetic white coach. That's the new trend right now. That's what's trending, you know. And so that's why a lot of the brothers who've been coaches for years continue to get skipped over. They're defying the racial norm.
And we're going to get ready to talk about the Rooney Rule. I believe this segment does.
Okay. All right.
I think because we didn't touch on it yet, right, Baba? So no. I think this is the segment. What did I do? Oh, here we go, Baba. I did something. Hold on. Oh, it says network error caused the media download to fail part. Okay, so hold on.
Okay.
It's something I did. So let me get out of here and go back. Hold on, family. Media could not play, could not be loaded because of server. All right, so that's something. Let me retry this.
All right. And I have that article too, and I just sent it to you. It's in the Scientific American.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. I do. I think it's this right here. Okay, hold on. I may have went too far. Let me see.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah. No, you guys, that was a great show. Y'all having a great discussion. You know, you.
Oh, here it is.
Quote, though. You ate them up with that quote.
They got quiet, Baba, didn't they? They were like,
church mouth. Yeah. Oh, it's quiet in here.
And then he said, well, I didn't know she was done. I didn't know she was finished.
Yeah,
you know, I said, okay,
you knew.
Yeah, you knew, bro. You knew, brother. You knew. Here we go, Bob. Here it is. I think. Let me
take a quick break and come right back on Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack.
Oh, someone said they can't hear. So hold on. I may not have clicked the audio. So thank you, sis. Trace Jones. She said, I can't hear. So you should be able to hear now. Let me know. All right. Baba, can you hear it?
Welcome back to
Business. I can definitely hear
it. Tammy Mack. I'm Tammy Mack. The Business of Being Black is the NFL a racist organization? Some people don't think so. Please welcome award-winning columnist and contributor for thegrio.com, Darren Snyder.
Darren. That's my nickname, Darren.
Darren Snyder. you made me insecure, Darren.
You and everybody else.
Editor for MLBBro.com, Chris Wilder. And the host of Uncle Tom Talks podcast, Derek Wilburn, and professor at Morgan State University, Dr. Maat. Okay, listen, Brian Flores. Will he ever have a job in the NFL? Derek, let's ask you that question.
I can't answer that question. None of us can answer that question. I mean, I really don't know. It's difficult to envision someone hiring someone who has sued them So you're not helping in that regard, but will he have another job? I suspect he will. I think the real question is, will that job be as a head coach? And only time's going to answer that question.
I'm just going to go ahead and say no. I'm going to spill right on. I mean, obviously, yes, we can't answer that question for real. But I mean, I think I can go out on a limb and say he will not have a head coaching job, offensive defensive coordinator job, or any other assistant coach job in the NFL or the NCAA. If you honestly, I mean, you know, because those two organizations are in bed together. They're definitely.
Good point.
I predict that he will have a coaching job again in his career. Maybe not a head coaching job, but at least an assistant job in the NFL or in college. But it's just a prediction.
Okay, and Tammy, he's the same coach who said that the NFL, that he was approached to throw a game, right? He's the same person. He's a whistleblower. No one rehires whistleblowers. So I'm going to say with confidence that he's not going to be rehired by the NFL.
I'm going to say he'll probably be assistant coach at Jackson State with Dion.
Well, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, Tammy, because what I was just thinking is we also have to take into consideration the fact that there are people sympathetic to his cause in the ranks of the NFL and the NCAA. So there are Black general managers, there are Black athletic directors, or other people who are more on the activist side of the fence than one would think or assume the NFL owners are, who are in positions to hire. So he may not have frozen himself out because he's alienated everybody. There are probably some people who are willing to give him a look because they're fundamentally supporting what he's doing.
You really think
definitely put his career in
that's
peril.
going to talk to the owner about bringing him in? You really think that's going to happen? Ozzie Smith in Baltimore is going to.
Well, he definitely, either way, he definitely made it clear that he's willing to take the chance that he never works again. And it's definitely something that's might come to fruition.
Right. Absolutely.
It's a huge statement for sure, but let's talk about what kind of created all of this Rooney Rule that they talk about in the NFL. It's technically where you have to at least interview some Black folk or minorities, as you will, for head coaching jobs or jobs in the NFL. Is the Rooney Rule, is it bull crap, Chris?
100%. It seemed, effective. Like when it first was instituted, it seemed like a good thing. But ultimately, teams, they interview Black candidates just for show over and over and over, year after year. Brian Flores.
Well, this is why Brian Flores was upset, and it goes back to what Colin Kaepernick says about integrity and how you're humiliated as a player. It's kind of falling in line here with Brian Flores. He was really upset that he was brought in for a job that somebody else allegedly already had, and so it humiliated him. It made him feel less than. Which
is why he would file a lawsuit, before the hiring cycle is over. He already knows that the whole situation is BS. He had been slighted in the past, and there's, lots of examples of it besides him. It makes sense to file it now. Lovie Smith got hired potentially as a result, but that's what makes the most sense to me.
I would have waited to see what happened after I interviewed with Houston and New Orleans. But even if he got the job after filing the lawsuit, it doesn't change the merits of the lawsuit. The Rooney Rule has worked if the goal was to get people interviewed. Now, they didn't say they had to be legitimate interviews, like people are getting some sham interviews, but people are getting interviewed. And on this, I will defend Roger Goodell and the NFL headquarters a little bit. I do believe that Roger Goodell, in his heart, wishes some more owners would do the right thing. But he can't make the owners do anything because he works for the owners. If it was up to him, Colin Kaepernick would have got another job. But the owners are the ones who didn't hire Colin Kaepernick back. And if it was up to Roger Goodell, I believe that there would be some more minority coaches, but the owners are the ones who were resistant.
Because Roger Goodell doesn't own a team, but this is becoming damned if you do, damned if you don't in terms of how we talk about the NFL. So if there is no Rooney Rule, and a team has a head coaching position come open, and they interview 5 white guys and hire a white guy, then what conversation are we having? So the Rooney Rule, the best defense of the Rooney Rule I've ever seen or read was in Tony Dungy's autobiography, who's a proponent of the rule, as am I. It gets candidates into the interview pipeline who otherwise might not be there. While they may not get hired for this job, now they're in the queue. Now their name is above the foxhole. Other coaches, other general managers, other owners know they're out there in the pool of candidates that exists, whether they got hired this particular time or not. At least somebody pulled them into that room along with the 4 white candidates. Maybe they didn't get this job, but they might get the next one or the one after that.
Derek,
or the one after that.
I hear what you're saying. The Rooney Rule went into effect in 2003. We're in 2022. Where has that been beneficial? We today only have 4 minority coaches, 2 of which are Black.
Well, you can't answer that question because we don't know. You can't talk about what would exist if what happened didn't happen. So if there were no,
what I'm saying is nothing exists after what happened. What I'm saying is the Rooney Rule has not created more Black coaches and giving them opportunities to be head coaches in the NFL. It has not worked. Has it worked in the interviewing process and having them interviewed? Sure. But your suggestion is that now they're above the fray. Now their name is in rooms that they don't know about. And I'm saying, how so, when we still don't have Black coaches in the NFL?
Great question,
well,
Tammy.
Is it true that we don't have Black coaches in the NFL? I don't know the NFL that well. Are there truly none?
Well, there are 4 minorities, 2 of which are Black, 1 who was just hired yesterday post Brian Flores' discrimination lawsuit.
So 3.
Right. So how has the Rooney Law helped, Derek?
Well, like I said, the goal was to get people interviewed. So obviously you got to do more than
No. I said
right.
Derek. I was saying Derek. I wanted Derek to answer that. How has it helped, Derek? Because you're a proponent of it. How did it help?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's helped. I'm saying that in its absence, we'd have absolutely nothing.
We still don't have anything.
We have black coaches who have been hired for head coaching positions. Some have probably filled.
Tammy just named 4.
We only have 2.
2. I'm sorry. Tammy named 2.
2. Mike Tomlin and Lovie Smith.
And I'm also taking the NC2A into account. We have some that have moved into coordinator positions. Yes, we need more Black head coaches. I'm not in disagreement with that. Nobody is. But let's just say there is no Rooney Rule and all they're interviewing ever is white people. Then you're complaining even louder than we're complaining right now.
As we should, Darren. Go ahead.
Correct. So at least it's movement in the right direction. It's better than no movement at all.
I'm moving in the right direction, Derek? Are you serious?
What's happening is you're saying
getting Blacks interviewed is good for Blacks.
Are you serious? Tammy just told you that the Rooney Rule was established in 2002 and 2003, and we had 2 head coaches, and you said we're moving in the right direction?
2 is more than 0. We need 10, 12. We need
okay, 10, so that's
12, 15.
okay.
We need more.
We had 2
in 2003. But 2 is more than none. We're moving the right direction.
2 in 20 years is you moving in the right direction.
The Rooney Rule isn't the problem. It's what people do when they make their hiring decisions. So we don't need to attack the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule is well-intentioned. Get some brothers a shot to be interviewed. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with calling it a commercial break in the middle of this heated discussion. We'll be right back on Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. I don't even know my name, so don't feel bad, Darren.
You know what I wanted to say? I wanted to say you the Negro. I wanted to say you the Negro. You're the Negro that Malcolm X, when Malcolm X had that quote that said that, you know, when they stab you in the back, right, and then pull the knife out 2 inches, you call that progress. Instead of pulling the whole knife out, the entire knife out of your back, and then healing your wound. So you think they didn't stab you in the back with the knife. They pulled 2 inches out, you know, and give you 2 coaches, and you say we going in the right direction because the knife is coming out of my. No, brother, that's 2 and 20. And then the other guy, Darren, said, let's not attack the Rooney Rule. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to do, and that's give brothers a shot. That's not giving brothers a shot. Now, if the rule said, hey, you have to interview a certain number of Black men or Black people, and you have to hire a certain number of Black people, now we're talking about a shot. but simply someone opening the door and letting you walk in, you get what I'm saying? That's not a shot. That's not a shot.
The prevailing assumption is, and it's the hope, is that for some reason, white men are racist because they don't know how smart we are. You know, all you need to do is meet them. If y'all just meet Lovey Smith, if y'all can just meet this, bro, you get in, they see how that those racist tropes are. As soon as they meet you, it's gonna mend they racist ways, and you're gonna get a job. They know you smart. They know you're qualified. The structure is structured that way for a reason. Okay, we're gonna have a 70% black workforce because that's the most entertaining product we can put on the field. And if we don't put them on the field, somebody else who cares more about green than white gonna put them black folks on the field. And that's the league everyone's gonna buy tickets to see. But to preserve our relationship with the predominant white community, we have to maintain white faces in traditionally white spaces. So you have to have the white quarterback.
Hold on, Baba. You got to repeat that again. You got to repeat that again. In order to do what, Baba? You got to repeat that again.
In order to preserve our relationship with the predominant white community, our season ticket holders, our sponsors, that sort of thing, we have to keep white faces in traditionally white spaces. Okay. And so that's the thing. We got to put this black product on the field because don't nobody run like Barry Sanders. Don't nobody do, you know what I'm saying, hit like Lawrence Taylor. You see how these back in the 80s, all of the black players came from HBCUs. Right? They start going to HBCUs. God, that's where the athletes are. Right? So we got to put the black athlete on the field. But if we're going to maintain a relationship on this level, on the corporate level, to keep the Dallas Cowboys being a multi-billion-dollar organization, then we have to keep white faces in traditionally white spaces. So our sponsors want to see white head coaches. They want to see white general managers. Sprinkle some blacks here and there to show progress. America does not have to heal racism. We can ride on progress. You saw what Uncle Tom said. We're moving in the right direction. We've been moving in the right direction since the Civil Rights Movement. How many more dreams have to be deferred in the name of us moving in the right direction? You know, you can't call me racist. We're doing our best. Even Goodell came out this week and say, we are still fighting to improve. We're fighting to get better. You know, because that's the thing. At least we're not what we used to be. You see. But what we don't understand is, no, you're not what you used to be. You're something more sophisticated and even more dangerous now.
Come on.
You're not. You're right. Back with what you used to be, everybody knew where the lines were drawn, and we knew that we had to go for self. So black athletes went to college to get the education, not dreaming about winning a lottery and getting into the NFL. They were exploiting the school just as much as the school was exploiting the athlete. But now it's different. Back in the day, like when SMU went to Eric Dickinson's mama's house in the 70s and say, we want your son to come to SMU. She said, y'all don't care about my son. Y'all don't like black people at SMU. How much you finna pay me? Now you frown on black parents that say you got to pay to get my son. But black folks back then had common sense. We not friends. You're not finna give him nothing. He's about to make you millions of dollars.
That's right.
He can go to Prairie View and get an education.
That's right. So how much are you paying?
So what we want is some Corvettes and some envelopes, because everybody finna get an envelope except us.
That's a fact.
When Major League Baseball goes to get an Asian player, they have to pay the Chinese government millions of dollars just to talk to the player.
Wow.
Just to talk to the player. Players like Yu Darvish and UHURU, you got a brother on their MLB, bro, he know. When you want to go get one of them Japanese players, one of those Asian players, you got to bid hundreds of millions of dollars just to talk to the player. And you got to pay it to the Asian community or the nation that they came from, just to talk to him. Then when he come, you got to pay him another piece of grip. But you can't even talk to him. We should have that attitude towards the NCAA. We need community centers. We need business incubators. If y'all not bringing some of that alumni money, some of them billions of dollars you get from athletes and dropping some in our community, then why would he send our boys to come play with you? To come play
That's
for
right.
you?
That's right. That's right.
It don't make sense when we're
That's
in a
right.
crisis. It doesn't make sense.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
So, Baba, this is the last segment.
All right.
The last segment, and then we'll wrap up.
Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. I'm Tammy Mack, and this has been, I mean, quite an energetic and I don't even know what type of show to call it, but I love the spirited. It's spirited. It's been spirited. I love the knowledge that you're bringing. So let's do a lightning round. How about it? Let's get to it. Dr. Maat, I already know where you're going with this. So let's start with you. Is the NFL racist?
Yes, the NFL is definitely, a racist institution. And I think that a lot of us don't even understand what racist or what racism is. And I just want to just recite Dr. Amos Wilson's definition of racism.
Bob, I got to pause right here. Did you notice on this interview, you heard some names? Dr. Marimba Annie.
You brought him in.
Come on, Dr. Amos Wilson. Come on.
He says that racism is a structural relationship based on a subordination of a racial group by another. Clearly, Tammy, in the NFL, you have white people who are superior, right? And Black people who are subjugated. They're being subjugated by white people. By Derek's and Darren's own admission, the NFL, the owners are all white, okay? Even though Blacks make up 70% of the NFL league, we're subjugated. We have no power. They have no power. Their labor is being used to create white wealth. So we're back in a situation like we were in slavery, reminiscent to what we did in slavery, which was our labor was exploited to generate or to produce white wealth. And that's what this thing is about. And so I just want to, I know this is the lightning round. I only have a few seconds left, but I would encourage everyone to read this book, okay? $40 Million Slaves, The Rise, Fall, and Redemption of the Black Athlete. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Darren. Racist organization or nah, the NFL?
Well, we live in America, so that's the short answer. But to give it a little more depth, I will say...
some would be like, no, what's the short answer? America's not racist.
Well, I don't think anyone on this panel would say that, except maybe Derek, I'm not sure.
I have my moments. I have my moments of belief in the American system. Yes, I do. I have my moments where I'm like, this is not a racist country at all.
There are moments. But, I will, like I said before, if you look at the NFL office, I think that's a much more, that's a much better example of diversity and inclusion. They have lots of minority employees, lots of women employees. Even if you look at some teams, they have in their front offices, they have some representation of minorities and women. But overall, especially when we're talking about the head coaching positions and the general manager positions, there's clearly some racial discrimination going on where we're not getting the representative number of individuals in those top positions. Dr. Oya mentioned Bill Rhoden's book, The $40 Million Slaves. And, I like Bill. I respect him. He's one of the pioneers of the business. He wrote a 300-page book, but his premise to me is a little bit faulty. Some of the NFL has created generational wealth for some athletes. So we can't dispute that. Even though they're racist, I don't disagree that they're a racist organization. We can't dispute that it does create generational wealth among some athletes. So I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I want the league to address the disparity in hiring. I want there to be more equity in terms of ownership and more inclusion in terms of who's in leadership. But, it has its moments, like you said.
That's a very good point. The NFL has created some generational wealth, and some NFL players who we've had on this show, actually former players, have suggested that they have thrived because of their career in the NFL. Hold that thought, Dr. Oya. Yeah.
So you heard Baba that I wanted to respond to what he said about creating generational wealth, but I'll wait until the segment is over. Hold on.
Okay, because we're in the lightning round, so I got to get to Chris. NFL racist or not?
Well, yeah, the NFL is absolutely racist, but so is just about every institution in America. I mean, clearly, what the main topic we've been talking about here today, the hiring of these white coaches, they keep retreading guys over and over. They fail and they fail over and over and over, and they get rehired and rehired. Simply because the ownership and the power structure is comfortable with them, but the overall treatment, of Black players versus white players, which are the minority on the field, the white players. If you look at something like, Ben Roethlisberger, who was twice accused of rape, nothing ever happened with that. I don't remember him being punished for that.
We have to acknowledge that it was a completely different time too. We're 2022, 2020, 2019, 2018 was completely different from when that happened with Ben Roethlisberger.
That was
what, 5?
You say it's a different time. Well, yeah. Okay, then Ray Rice was a different time too. There's examples from that time. I mean, it was the 2000s when that happened. So his treatment versus the treatment of a Black player who, Ray Rice was I would say an equivalent example. He beat up his wife, but there's players who have, had drugs, which is a lesser thing than raping 2 women.
So I'm getting you're saying, yes, they are a racist organization.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Derek.
Okay, I want to put a quick capstone on my comments about the Rooney Rule, because I commented that it's movement in the right direction, and it is. It's not fast enough. It's not far enough. We all know that. But there once was a point where there were no Black coaches in the NFL, not one. At least there's a few. So if I have to walk 1,000 miles from here to Kansas City and I take 5 steps, haven't gone very far, I haven't arrived, but thank God left.
I might not get there with you. Okay, well, let's see. I might not get there with you. We'll get there. We're going to get to that mountaintop. Dr. Maat, you were going to say something.
I haven't done my capstone yet.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I haven't done my lightning round yet.
Go ahead. We got 30 seconds.
We have got to stop being offended by every bloody thing. So we have people in this country of all colors who are offended by statues, offended by buildings, offended by sports team mascots, offended by Dr.maat.msu. And now we're offended by an industry that takes young Black men, 20-year-old Black men, and gives them the ability to change the financial future of their families for generations to come. Yet we're finding a way to be offended even by that.
Is it racist or not?
Is the NFL itself a racist institution?
Yeah.
I think that's too broad a brush. There are
never answered the damn question, Baba. You hear him skating. It was everybody answered the question, but Uncle Derek.
Yeah, but he clearly stated earlier that if it wasn't a Rooney Rule, there would be no Blacks being interviewed. So what does that mean? Because he stated that himself earlier.
Exactly.
He said if there was no Rooney Rule, you'd have no Blacks being interviewed. So what he just called it racist then.
Exactly.
So now this is a mute. Now he's put on the spot. He's scared because I'm telling you, he interviewing for White Fox. He don't want to be on Fox. So
absolutely.
There are racist elements within it, without question. Is the whole thing racist? I don't know. I mean, do you? How do we know?
Gun to your head. If you had to say yes or no,
how do we know? Listen, this is a show about gun control.
Yes or no? Gun to your head. What would you say?
Okay, well, let me answer. Darren, I think that's a good question. Let me answer your question with a question. Does failure to
I just want a yes or no answer.
So we're about to wrap up. Chris, tell us about MLBbro.com.
MLBbro.com. That's a website. We cover the Black baseball players because Black players have declined. The number of Black players has declined over the last few years in baseball. So we want to make sure and highlight them.
Derek, please tell us about Uncle Tom Talks podcast.
Tuesday, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Find it on Spotify. Find it on just about any of the others. I also hope people check out POCCinterns.com.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that organization that you have. That's amazing. Yeah. Darren, how can we keep up with your work at the Griot? Love the Griot.
TheGriot.com. Also, you can check out my company, Black Door, like the color, blackdoorventures.com.
Got it. And Dr. Maat, give us a little snippet of what Meltrek is all about.
Yes.
We have a couple of other projects as well.
Yes. So Meltrek is an animated series that teaches children about the history, culture, and achievements of Black people from a Black perspective. So you can go to Google, type in Meltrek, Meltrek, and links to purchase the animated series should pop up. I'm also the founder of Conscious Ingenuity. That is a program that utilizes STEAM to build character, confidence, and capabilities. We target Black children and Hispanic children, all minorities. And also, I'm a professor over at the School of Engineering. So send your child to Morgan State University. I teach in an electrical engineering department, but I teach engineering from an African-centered perspective.
Wow.
And I'm also the host of Truth to Power Talk with Dr. Maat, which is on YouTube.
Okay, check it out. And if you need a voiceover for those cartoons, you got your sis right here. TGIF is next with Claudia Jordan. That's Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack on Fox Soul. See y'all.
Good job. Excellent job. Excellent job, Doc.
Thank you, Baba.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You represented us well.
I tried. I lost it when it went off. Soon as it went off air, they asked Uncle Derek, is America racist? And he said no. And that's when I let loose. What do you mean? No. Now I'm turning. Right.
Yeah, my question is always, when did it stop?
Right.
Give me the date. When did it stop? When was it over? When did racism? Because it was built on it, like the foundation.
The foundation, absolutely.
It may have been for a capitalist reason. It wasn't about color. It was about our intelligence, our health, our strength, our science. You know what I'm saying? It was about that. It was about capitalism, but it was racism. They created racism so they can create categories to justify, you know what I'm saying, our enslavement and our subjugation. So when did that end?
It never ended.
And the NFL clearly continues to use racist assumptions to justify its actions and its attitude towards the Black community. That's just real. I mean, think about it. They think that they've healed the Black Lives Matter by having Dr. Dre and them at the Super Bowl in the halftime. Because the racist trope is Black people don't think, they don't really read, just put a Black face in a traditional white space and they'll be quiet. It'll all go away. At first, the NFL was lined up with the white folks saying, no, Colin Kaepernick, that was un-American. When they saw the backlash, next thing you know, the NFL is now working with communities to solve racism because we all need, they said, how can we make a statement that ain't too Black? That's all, we need to make an all lives matter statement where we can put Black Lives Matter in it. And when you look at the ads from the NFL, that's what they all are.
That's what they are.
NFL is all about inclusion, and you'll see a Black player, but you ain't gonna see a Black player talking to all white kids. They got to sprinkle some. All Black kids got to sprinkle some whites in there. So it's carefully crafted. It's a crafty kind of racism that's built upon their confidence that our community is not educated enough to decipher what's really going on.
That's a fact. Baba. Yeah. I mean, I concur with everything you just stated. I just want to acknowledge my little brother. He's in the building. Brother UHURU Maat. Thank you so much, brother. He said it was fire. Khalil, Sister Tiffany, brother Sean Gales, D. Centavo, and Sean Gales said we got to get Baba Amin on Fox Soul. He would burn it up. Coke Crow. Thank you so much, family. Appreciate it. So Baba, I know that there were a few people, and Khalil, you were saying a lot in the chat, and then there was another person in the chat. I'm looking for his name, T. Jones, and it may be a female. So my apologies if you're a queen, but T. Jones, you were in the chat, and you said that that the NFL isn't racist, and you said blame the Black players. So T. Jones, you have the link to come on in. And from the position that you're taking, I think you're trolling. That's what I honestly think. But you have the link. You have the link, T. Jones, to come on in here, and make sure when you come on in, you cut your camera on. We want to see who you are. And I want you to tell us why you feel that the NFL is not racist. Now, you just watched a 51-minute segment. 51-minute interview or panel discussion. And you listened to Baba Amin's and our commentary, right, about this. So I want you to come on, T. Jones. Okay. I want you to come on. Make sure you
Uncle Tom, even the self-proclaimed Uncle Tom said it was racist elements in it. He could even come out and say it wasn't racist.
Exactly.
And he tried hard not to.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I got to see what
T. Jones, yeah. So T. Jones, you have the link. You have the link. Come on in. Click the link. You was typing away in the chat, and now that the link is up, you're not in here.
You know,
so you have the link.
It's funny. It's funny. You know, people think when people like you and I who look at things from African-centered perspective, when we're calling out racism, we're not crying. We're not complaining. At all. We're not shocked. And our goal is not to eradicate it. You know what I'm saying? Our goal is to spark our community to fight it with ownership, to divest, to fight it by building, you know what I'm saying, protections around our children. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, and so that's what we're talking about. You know, I don't dream of a fair NFL. That's a private owned club. I don't dream of that, right?
Come on.
I grew up watching football. I grew up in Texas. I grew up watching football. I grew up playing football. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit here in front like, yo, man, I don't mess with football. No, I do. I still mess with football. You know what I'm saying? But in the NFL as an organization, to say it's not racist just to justify us looking at it, nah, that's disingenuous. You look at it in spite of it being racist. You follow it in spite of. Anybody that's watching the Super Bowl tomorrow, you're watching it in spite of the racism, not because it's not there. So don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Be real, you know, and be real that we are desensitized to racism, you know, in this country. You know, as Black people, we participate in racism. Some of us every day. Some of y'all go to work every day knowing you in the job you in because you Black. And some of you in jobs where you know you were skipped over just because they don't want a Black face in that traditionally white space. You know that, but you're going to work because you need to pay your bills. You know what I'm saying? So we, you know, and you're going to work because we haven't been trained. You haven't been trained to pay your bills without that job. Right. And so we need a movement of Black-owned businesses. We need a movement of Black investment in Black institutions. And those institutions that make billions of dollars off of Black talent should be key investors in helping us get a foothold in building an economic foothold inside our communities. I believe that. The NFL and the NCAA, a lot of them are sending broken young men back into the Black community, not empowered young men. Not that all of them are doing that, but too many are coming back not empowered and broken.
And what I wanted to say, and I couldn't, and the link is in the chat. I just put it in the chat for anybody who wants to pull up and say that the NFL wasn't racist. Okay. Now, T. Jones, I can go back through the live chat. You know that because you said it's not racist. You said it's not racist. I saw it, T. Jones. So the link is in the chat for anybody who feels like the NFL isn't racist. Click the link and come on in and tell Baba, Amin, and I why you feel that is it. Absolutely. And I just wanted to say this, Baba, when I chimed in when he said that it's created generational wealth for, you know, Black people have said that it's created generational wealth. Well, Sports Illustrated came out with a stat that said 4 out of 5 players 2 years after retirement filed for bankruptcy. That stat came out in like 2021. Huh? 4 out of 5.
That brother must have met the 5th player.
Right. So I'm like, what generational wealth are you talking about if 4 out of 5 players file for bankruptcy 2 years after retirement? Right. So that kills it. And then, Baba, you presented a stat during this discussion that you said that most players only see one contract. So what generational wealth are we talking about? All right, I just want to play this. This might be the outro.
I don't think nobody want it. They don't want it, man.
Look, they don't want it.
You know, Yeah, and we gotta be clear. Like when we talk about the NFL being racist, we're not calling black players stupid. We're not criticizing black players. We're not criticizing. I'm not coming at black coaches. You know, I have friends who've been in the NFL. You know, and we've had these discussions. You know, and they acknowledge it. You know, but they do just like a lot of us do with our jobs. Well, look, I'm in this situation. I'm trying to make the most out of it with what I have. You know,
That's right.
but that's why we have to have these discussions, because my interest is empowering those who are getting inside these institutions to beat the system that's in place to beat them. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you to leave with your mind intact. They don't want you to leave with your finances intact and leave with ideas, you know, and we need to be preparing our children, our sons, you know, the most sought after athletes in the world, and daughters, the most sought after athletes in the world. We have to be preparing them to truly parlay this experience into generational wealth. But you can't create generational wealth if you live in among other people, if you pay, and when you spend among other people, your taxes go to other people. You're helping create generational wealth for them.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's
in
a
order
fact.
to create generational wealth, you have to have more people participating in that than just you.
Absolutely. We have to fully control the black dollar in order
Come
to
on
create
now.
generational wealth.
Come on.
That's what you
Come
talk.
on.
That's what you're talking about, Baba.
Right.
That's what you're
You
talking
know,
about.
you're not gonna, you know, so we gotta, you know, we have to keep that in mind. We definitely have to keep that in mind. And again, you know, the victory continues. I know some people say the struggle continues. The victory continues. We're gonna win.
We gonna
We're gonna
win. Come
win.
on, Baba.
They
Come on,
shook.
Baba.
They shook.
Come on, Baba. So, family,
Yeah.
look, I'll be live a couple of times this week. I'll probably go live on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know, Baba. You know, sometimes I just call you up, Baba. We gonna go live. We just go live, but
Hey,
we'll be we.
anytime, Dr. Maya. You know how we roll.
Hold up. Somebody pulled up, Baba. We was getting ready to close. We get ready to close out, but a brother pulled up. He pulled up.
Maya, you know how we roll.
Oh, you gotta cut your it's feedback, brother Jones. It's feedback, brother. I don't know what that is. So I just muted you. So I'm gonna stop talking and unmute you and give you the floor, brother. Because when I'm talking, I can hear the feedback. But you have Friday Jones, brother. You have the floor. What that is. So I just muted you. You have the floor, brother.
Black man, you in here with us. What's up with it?
Unmute your mic, brother. Unmute your mic, brother. You have the floor.
See, I just came in and saw the discussion.
Black
and,
man,
and
you
had,
in here with
had
us.
to pull up.
What's up with it? Hey, check this out. Mute the video, though. Mute the video of us talking.
I just came in and saw the discussion.
Not your video. Mute the video of, like, you know how we can hear us, the feedback? Mute us. There you go. Now, and then unmute your mic in here.
Thank you for having me on. I love football. I've been involved in football. I have family in football. And my thing is that if these men are making millions and millions of dollars, which we know they are, and we know that many of our brothers have been getting multiple year contracts, we can't deny that. We have to ask ourselves, are we teaching these brothers the right ways, the financial means to pass that wealth on, or to put that wealth back into the families and the people? Because we can't sit here and lie to ourselves and say that people are not making money and millionaires.
No one said that.
But you know, I'm so we can't sit here and say they're not making generational wealth.
Well, no, now generational wealth and being a millionaire is not the same thing. Having $1 million is not guaranteed generational wealth. Now, you know that.
But generational wealth implies how you spend that money, how you invest that money, how you put that money back into your family.
Well, generational wealth implies that the next generation is set up as a result of your work.
So that's what these brothers are in position to do, and fathers beyond that. How many brothers do we have playing in the NFL right now who are the sons of stars? I mean, so I don't think attacking the NFL.
Not many at all.
Well, there's not attack. I don't think if attacking the NFL. I think we need to assess how do we teach these brothers to put that wealth back.
Okay, I like that you said that, right? I like that you said that, and you said don't attack the NFL. So it's kind of like a protection play. You know what I'm saying? The NFL does, number one, the NFL don't need our protection. The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar institution. It's a juggernaut. And if you don't question it, if you don't, it's really not an attack, because, you know, if you don't question it and attack a juggernaut, it'll get too big, and it'll continue to get worse. Right now, to answer the other part of your question, you know, when it comes, who's going to educate these brothers, right? Well, a brother that's in the NFL came through a whole system. They came through an NCAA system. They came into an NFL system that has an NFL union, that have people that come in to talk finance and the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? However, you still have 85% of those brothers, when they retire or go broke, within 4 years of leaving the league. Right. And so when you say, is it on us? Who is it on? I say it's on the institutions who demanded 100% of their attention the whole time they were being prepared to be a product on the field.
Yes,
and
sir.
So you don't have to call it racism. You can call it systemic failure.
Well, let me ask this then. What separates the NFL from the NBA, from music industry, from a brother who's a business owner, from anybody who's getting money? What separates the NFL? Because the NFL is an institution here in America. It's a sport.
Okay.
So these brothers, we're getting brothers are getting paid millions of dollars to play a game.
Wow. You know what? It's a trip, because we act like they're paying Monopoly. These brothers are getting paid millions of dollars to sacrifice their bodies.
But we know that if you're a player,
I don't think we do, because when we
know that.
No, but when we make a statement like, they playing millions of dollars to play a game. But really professional football, if I can blow my knee out tomorrow, how much of a game is it really?
You can blow your knee out in high school and never get paid.
You can.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yes, you can. But I'm just saying, let's not trivialize it. I'm not arguing with that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, let's not trivialize it like they have an easy job, because it's not an easy job.
No, it's not.
But it's a job that men have signed up for. They know if you've played football
like
from
youth to be a police officer
to high school, exactly, you know the risks.
Yes.
So we can't stop saying, we need to stop saying the NFL is racist, or we need to start putting the onus back on us.
Why can't we say that the NFL is racist?
What if it is?
Because the NFL pays black men millions of dollars to play
if I
a game.
pay you, I can't be racist. So you think racism is just linked to pay?
Obviously.
What I'm saying is that we're here in America. We obviously know there's racism. America's racist.
It's a racist
country. Any institution. So there's no. So it's we're wasting it. Why say the NFL is racist? We might as well.
That's what the conversation was about, brother. But okay, I do hear what you're saying, that we can say that other institutions are racist. Yeah, right, exactly. The conversation was about the NFL.
Okay,
and you just admitted that America's racist. And so other institutions within America are also racist. So that means by default, the NFL is racist.
Different. Why is the NFL racist? Because we're obviously they're not hiring black coaches. There's not black owners. I understand that. But black men are getting paid millions and millions of dollars that, if we focused on that, could be put back into the community. But instead of here trying to blanket and say this is racist, we know that. But let's go to the problems. How do we stop?
But brother, a lot of people don't know that. Did you watch the discussion that I had?
I agree.
I'm sorry, I didn't, man.
Yeah, so that was the.
I just popped in.
Yeah, so it's like you're arguing something that's not.
Football.
Yeah, it's like
brother,
so.
I agree.
But I'm saying I've heard this a lot of times, and we're going to continue to say things are racist, but things are going to change until we change.
Okay, now you just said something, right? Things aren't going to change until we change. Yes, and we don't call something racist because we think calling it racist creates change.
Exactly.
Okay. Right. Like I don't call a drug addict thinking if I call you a drug addict, you'll stop doing drugs. No, that's not going to happen. But I do need to know where you're at and how you're moving. Because if I'm in the same room with you as a drug addict, I need to understand what you do as a drug addict. And so that's going to dictate how I interact with you. So what we have to watch out, because corporations solicit us for dollars. Okay. And the other side of the coin of capitalism is that the consumer has a right to either support or not support any institution. So to not call something what it is deceiving the consumer.
Absolutely.
Great point. So us three, we on this panel, because we could say the NFL is racist, but what about that young man who his opportunity to bring his family out of the ghetto is through football, is through this game.
You better tell him the NFL is racist, so when he goes into the NFL, he can't be fooled by some coach that's gonna send him back into the game, even though he has a concussion.
You should already know it's racist.
He doesn't.
Brother,
that's an
hold up.
assumption that you're making.
Yeah, and see, that's what I mean, Brother Friday. You didn't watch the discussion, and so we got to be careful popping in and getting in on conversations and missing the context. So I appeared on a show called Being, what's it called? The Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. And the discussion was, it was about the NFL, and she posed two questions. The first question was, can we liken the NFL to modern day slavery? That was the first question. The second question was, is the NFL a racist institution? Two people on the panel argued that it is. Two people said that it's not. So you just said, oh, well, everybody knows that it is, when literally I just showed my audience a 50-minute interview with two people who said that it wasn't. So we can't make that assumption. Everybody thinks that the NFL is racist or knows that it isn't.
And Brother Jones, what's important too is educating our young people exactly what racism is, because some of us just think racism, they don't like me because I'm black, so they don't understand the nuances. So soon as someone racist smiles at them and gives them an opportunity, they feel like racism is not there because they don't see the nuances. So when we say you better tell them that it is, we also need to educate them what it looks like, how to navigate it, how to beat it. But if you don't properly, but pretending like it's not there leaves you open to where you don't realize you got duped until it's too late.
Absolutely.
So what about like Jim Brown, O.J. Simpson, like these brothers in the 70s who were already, I mean, you got to think Fritz Pollard. Like there was a time where brothers couldn't even play football, brothers couldn't play baseball. So I think all of us who have grown up in America have known where these institutions originated from. But what I'm saying now is that if we have the opportunity to make millions and millions of dollars, instead of focusing on saying, hey, this is racist, we should say, no, look at what you're getting now, and how do you imply that, how do you change that with your power now, with your money, your status? Because look at Troy Vincent. Troy Vincent is a great, and he's propagated a lot for people and diversity in NFL.
Right. And he'll tell you that the NFL is a racist institution.
Well, I mean, but we can.
It's kind of like the foundation of why he does a lot of the work that he does.
Honestly, anything that's not started by an African American is probably going to have some form of racism. Well, so we can beat that around the bush all the time. But if a man, because you compared it, so let's compare it to slavery. People are working and bringing money to owners and not getting paid. That was slavery. Now at least we're getting paid.
Okay,
so
I think
we need to say, now that we're getting paid, how can we use this and influence the structure more? Because it's
slavery. But listen, slavery wasn't racism. They didn't enslave you because you were black.
Capitalism.
They created racism to justify the enslavement of
sir.
black people. Right? Racist doctrine was created to justify the enslavement of black people through the church. To justify it through political means, that sort of thing, right? So we're talking about a doctrine, and within that doctrine, scientific racism came out of that, right? That says the assumption is that your brain is, your cognitive abilities is less than the cognitive abilities of a white person. So you even had black liberals who fought against slavery, but believed in the inherent inferiority of black people.
That's a fact.
That's a great fact. I mean, it's like the black quarterback.
Right. So what I'm saying
is that now we got brothers that have already been tackled in the 90s.
Okay. I have some friends. I'll give you an example. I have some friends that were in the NFL in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? Every Tuesday when they went to pick up their check, the owner would have one of his preacher friends to come in to get donations, right? And to make sure the preacher friend comes in and kind of finesses them into what they need to be supporting, what they shouldn't need, what they shouldn't be supporting. Owners are also friendlier with agents, white agents who manage the players' money, right, beyond the field, making sure they don't get into anything that might cast a shadow on the NFL or anything political, that sort of thing, right? They also get inundated with white men who come dressed up to take advantage of your black inferiority complex and say, man, we got some land down here in such and such, this investment that you need to invest in. The sharks, the white sharks come in and attack those young brothers because they're making the racist assumption that those young brothers are going to be finessed whenever they see a white face in front of them. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not calling these white men evil. I'm coming back to your point that I agree with.
That happens. That doesn't happen just in the NFL. That happens in my business. I deal in real estate.
No, I didn't say the NFL was exclusive. I didn't say the NFL was exclusive. So that don't make it less racist because you can find somebody else.
The only thing I would like to say, and I thank you for having me on, is that I think instead of us continuing to try to say, oh, this is racist or this is that, we need to start finding the solutions of how we can empower ourselves within these structures. So if we have brethren within the NFL who are making money, who are making moves, instead of continuing to complain about what brought them here, let's say, how do we now use this platform we're in to change it, to make sure we have an African-American owner, to make sure we have, you know what I mean? Those are the things we need to start looking, because if we keep
when you have someone like a Coach Flores,
we throw back.
So when you have someone like a Coach Flores who's trying to do exactly what you're saying,
which I applaud. I applaud that. I applaud what he did.
Well, he came out and called the league racist.
He sure did. He did call the league racist.
He went about it the right way.
He said what we all know.
Okay,
like we said. But what I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so what I'm wondering is then. So you must disagree with his tactic, because he could have just went on an interview for another job, but instead of doing that,
he still did.
Well, before he went on his interview, he came out and sued the league for racism, racial discrimination in hiring. He called it racist, right? Yes. But he was trying to gain power from within. So what he showed us was that if you're inside of a racist institution, even when you're let in and you try to gain more power beyond the ceiling that they prescribe to you, because
the glass ceiling,
right? When you try to get beyond that ceiling, some of these organizations won't go down without a fight. And the NFL has traditionally been one of them. They don't make changes without a fight.
Well, exactly. Which is why I think we need to fight, but we need to fight. We need to fight, and we need to fight smart as well.
I agree.
Like I said, just blanketly saying things are racist does not help us.
But you can agree.
Strategically using our resources, using our intelligence, using the people, I think is what can help. Because we can sit here and say it's racist all day, and brothers are not going to stop playing football. People are not going to start watching football.
That's not the goal when you call it racist. That's not the goal.
So the goal is to bring change, right?
Well, the goal for me is education. The goal for me is recognition, because I have in the art of war, you have to know your terrain.
Period. So I think that goes back to my first point of, if we start educating the brothers who are in the NFL, who are getting this money, then that's what will bring the change. Educating
before they get the money, right?
Well, of course, exactly.
That education has to begin before, right? It has to begin before. So you have to hold institutions to the fire, right? And that's a part of it.
But I'm saying this hasn't been done before. Colin Kaepernick called the league out. Right. So Jim Brown called the league out. That's all I'm saying, is that we've been saying the same things for decades.
Well,
it's not like this is a new argument.
Yeah, I think there's more than one way to hit a giant. And when you're going at a giant, you got to hit a giant. Somebody got to hit the ankle. Somebody got to bite him on the wrist. Somebody got to throw a rock and hit it in the head. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to be proactive in educating our children, who are black children are a cash crop in America. We've been cash crops in this country since we've been here.
Because we started.
That's a fact.
And I agree with you. And I agree with you. And that's why I have a school and I went into education, is because it's on us to educate our children, to empower our children, to truly take advantage of that rather than being taken advantage of. You got retired NFL players like Najee Davenport struggling to even get paid out from a settlement that they won in court. They won the settlement, And
Sure.
now the NFL put a cognitive test in front of them, and now they're paying black players less than they pay white players, because they say if your cognitive test is at a
Yes.
70 and a black player's cognitive test at a 70, because you're white, you lost more intelligence than he did, because he was just at a 75, because he black.
Now we know that was bullshit. We know that was bullshit, and the league got it right. They changed that.
Women don't. But the problem is a racist organization that wasn't racist wouldn't need to change that.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. We're not. That's what I'm saying. We know that it's racist. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But us continuing to keep the same rhetoric. I'm gonna end the panel. I thank you guys for having me on. But I think you basically made the point, brother. You said the importance is education. Because we're going to always say something's racist, something's racist, something's racist. But if we don't start empowering our people and educating, we're never going to make the changes to say, well, it's not racist no more.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is, and let's not make the assumption that once we call something's being called out as racist, let's not make the assumption that nothing else is going on to bring
yes, yeah, come on, yeah, brother Friday, yeah, brother Friday. Like I almost just said, we're like it's racist, and we complaining and nothing. A lot of work is, how about say, a lot of work is being done. Yeah, a lot of work is being done.
Exactly. So we got to take our medicine.
I just wanted to bring. I just wanted to bring up that even in a racist institution. Let's look back 100 years ago. For a African man, for minorities to be getting millions and millions of dollars, we need to change the focus onto how do you manage your money and how do you utilize that? Because I mean, I've never had $1 million contract, but with little I've had, I've been able to manage because I was educated. I luckily had people teach me how to manage my money and what to do with it. And we need to do the same thing. We need to make sure that our people are getting that education, like you said, before getting to the league. And then you won't have brothers who are retiring and have no money set aside. But when you have young black men who want to party, who want to live like the stars, want to live like what we see, who are spending money at strip clubs, on cars, then that's when they retire with nothing. But it's not the institution, it's not the NFL that makes a man not retire.
Well, the NFL's not the
it's us. It is us and what we're learning and what we're being taught. And that's all I wanted to say. So I thank you, brother. I thank you, Sister Maya. I thank you, brother, for your time. Yes. And I'll fall back and listen to what you guys have to say.
I appreciate you jumping in, brother.
Thank you.
You do the same. You do the same, brother. All right. So all right. So that was fun. That was fun. In the chat room, Baba, I'm over here like tears in my eyes. I was trying not to, but the chat room, look, sister, a beautiful mind said, this is too much. Like literally this, I'm telling you, like the chat room, the comments were hilarious. They were hilarious. Decent Tavo, brother Jehudi, like the chat room was off the chain, Baba. Yeah. So I'm telling you, you have to go back and read the chat room comments. I'm telling you, you're gonna be cracking up. All right, fam. Yes. So Baba, thank you so much for coming on. I know we said 90 minutes. 90 minutes turned into 2 hours. Yeah. But I do appreciate you coming on.
This how nerds like me spend our Saturdays.
Isn't it like I tell my family all the time? They said this is entertainment for you. You like stuff like this. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is my entertainment. And then look, I'm getting ready to, when I get off with you, I'm gonna go read a book on the Maroons. Studying up for a documentary I'm gonna be featured in on the Maroons. And so I've been, doing a lot of research. So this was my fun. Now I'm gonna go drink a glass of wine and read. Read for about 2 hours. Read for about 2 hours and call it a night.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. So bye.
It was fun.
No problem. Thank you for being on, family. Join us back here sometime this week. Just make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell so when I do go live, you're notified, because sometimes I don't know when I'm going to go live. So you want to make sure that you click on a notification bell so that when I go live, you get a notification. All right. Have a black-tastic week, family. Peace and Black power.